The first time I laid eyes on Karen Whitmore, she was squinting at my tractor like it was some sort of wild animal. Clipboard in one hand, phone in the other, she stood at the edge of my property, like she was guarding a palace gate. "You'll need to stop running that thing before 9 a.m., she said sharply. Noise ordinances apply to all bordering residents of Whispering Pines Estates. I dismounted the tractor, brushing off my gloves. "Ma'am, this is a working farm, not a golf course. Sun comes up, we work." She wrinkled her nose. "Well, it's disturbing the peace." That was my introduction to the HOA president next door. I figured she'd calm down once she realized I wasn't some rebellious teen playing with heavy machinery. I was a fourth-generation farmer, trying to keep my grandfather's legacy alive on 42 acres that predated her gated community by about a century. I was wrong. Within weeks of that encounter, the letters started, folded, typed, and signed, with her unmistakably aggressive cursive. Karen was nothing if not official. Complaints about dust pollution from tilling, accusations that my cows were visually distressing to her guests. One note claimed the wind carried "animal" sounds that interfere with HOA meditation hours. I laughed at first, but her intent wasn't humor. It was control. Whispering Pines had grown like an invasive vine, its border pressed right up against my southern fence line. With it came perfectly identical homes, manicured hedges, and people who thought fresh dirt was a threat to civilization. And Karen, well, she was their self-appointed queen. It wasn't long before she tried to enforce her rules. Beyond her neighborhood, one morning, I found a printed notice taped to my front gate, pursuant to Section 14.2 of the HOA Residential Harmony Code. All bordering properties must maintain visual cleanliness and conformity. She included a list of recommended improvements from my land, like planting wildflowers instead of rotating soybeans and hiding unsightly equipment. I didn't know whether to be insulted or impressed. She'd spent real time drafting a fake mandate for property she didn't own. I tossed the paper in the fire pit. But Karen wasn't finished. She escalated in petty, passive-aggressive waves. Someone spray-painted a smiley face on my old barn wall. 1 week after she warned me, it looked haunted. I came out one morning to find my mailbox flattened, with golf cart tire tracks in, the mud leading back toward Whispering Pines. Then, she installed a security camera pointed straight at my fence. When I confronted her, she didn't blink. "It's for monitoring encroachment." "Encroachment?" I asked. "I have reason to believe your cows lean against the fence. You mean graze." She smiled like a courtroom prosecutor and walked away. It was no longer about farming versus suburbia. It was personal. Karen wanted the land, or at least dominion over it, and I was in her way. But the tipping point came 2 days before the Spring Community Fair, a little event my family had hosted every year since the 70s. Locals came for hay rides, fresh eggs, even bluegrass music in the barn. We'd gotten permits, insurance, the whole bit. But that morning, I found the south gate wide open, and 2 of my calves wandering dangerously close to the main road. The lock had been cut. I checked the trail camera mounted on the gatepost. The footage wasn't perfect, but it was clear enough. A small figure, hooded, snipping the padlock with bolt cutters just before dawn. I had a strong hunch who it was. I tightened the fencing, called animal control to report the incident, and filed a report with the sheriff. But something shifted in me that day. This wasn't just about nuisance complaints anymore. Karen had stepped off the curb and into my world, where trespassing and endangering livestock weren't just rude, they were criminal. As I looked out over my fields that evening, I realized something. She wasn't going to stop. Not until I plowed her delusions of power straight into the dirt, and I was just the farmer to do it. The fair went on as planned, but the mood was different. I tried to smile through the hay rides and sell fresh eggs like nothing had happened, but my mind kept circling back to that blurry figure with the bolt cutters. The gate had been repaired, the calves were safe, but something had snapped in me. Karen had crossed a line, and I wasn't going to let it slide. She didn't show her face that day, but I spotted her silver SUV idling near the edge of the field. She never got out, just sat behind the tinted glass like a hawk watching prey, engine humming quietly while families laughed and kids clutched kettle corn in sticky hands. When I stepped toward the vehicle, it rolled away slow and smooth, back, into the shadows of whispering pines. That night, I reviewed every second of the camera footage again. It wasn't conclusive enough to charge her. Just a silhouette, slim frame, and a limp that matched the way Karen walked after her foot surgery last fall. But I needed more than suspicion. I needed proof, real leverage. The next morning, she made her move. I was in the barn brushing down Ellie, our old draft mare, when a county deputy pulled up beside my truck. He wore mirrored sunglasses and carried an apologetic expression. "Mr. Brandt, that's me. We got a complaint from the Whispering Pines HOA. Says you're operating an unlicensed commercial venue and violating local zoning regulations." I blinked. "What?" "They claim your fair was illegal. Something about improper parking access, traffic congestion, even environmental impact." He pulled out a folder. They submitted a signed letter, photos, and a formal petition to the county board. I didn't need to ask who signed it. Karen's name might as well have been tattooed across the front page. "They send you to shut me down." He shook his head. "No, sir. Just here to verify. Looks like all your permits check out. You're in the clear." Still, it rattled me. This wasn't just a neighborhood feud anymore. Karen was using official channels, turning bureaucracy into a weapon. Her smear campaign wasn't designed to win in court. It was designed to exhaust me, bleed me dry with paperwork and inspections until I gave up. That night, I paced the porch, boots thudding against old pine boards. Storm clouds were crawling in from the west, but my mind was louder than the wind. I wasn't dealing with a cranky neighbor. I was dealing with a bureaucratic bully with a god complex, and she was escalating fast. 2 days later, I found a brand new metal sign zip-tied to my fence. "Private Showway property. No farm vehicles beyond this point. Trespassers will be prosecuted." It was posted on my side of the fence, on my land. I ripped it down and drove straight to the county records office. For $50, I got the most recent zoning maps, land surveys, and a stack of official documentation showing exactly where my property line ran. No ambiguity, no wiggle room. Karen had not only trespassed, she'd posted an illegal threat on land she didn't own. She was getting bold, too bold, but instead of reacting with fists or fury, I reached for the tool Karen would never expect me to use: patience. I started documenting everything: photos, timestamps, notes of every interaction. I even installed a second trail camera, this one camouflaged under a birdhouse, facing the fence line. Every time her golf cart rolled past, every time she paused at the property marker, I logged it. I stopped waving, stopped engaging, let her think I'd retreated. That's when she got sloppy. The next week, a pair of my irrigation lines were slashed open. Clean cuts, professional looking, water had poured into the topsoil overnight, flooding a 1/4 acre of seed. And just 20 feet away, parked neatly on the edge of her lawn, Karen's golf cart, facing my fence, facing the damage. This time, I didn't call her. I called my lawyer, and then I called someone else, someone I hadn't talked to since high school. Deputy Marshal Clint Rhodes, a farm boy turned lawman who knew exactly what it meant to protect a family's land. "I've got a neighbor problem," I told him. "You mean a Karen problem?" He chuckled. "Worse. She's got a title." "Well," he said, "sounds like it's time to till up some truth." As the wind picked up and thunder cracked in the distance, I felt something shift inside me. No more warnings. No more second chances. Karen had planted chaos on my land. Now it was my turn to harvest justice. Karen had always played her games in the shadows. Letters, complaints, passive-aggressive signs. But slashing my irrigation lines, that was sabotage. I didn't need to guess anymore. I needed to act. The following morning, I met Deputy Marshal Clint Rhodes at the edge of the field. He wore a Stetson, dark sunglasses, and a faint smirk, like he already knew what he was about to find. "Been a while, Noah," he said, shaking my hand. "Too long. Glad you came." We walked the perimeter, stopping at the cut irrigation lines. Clint knelt and inspected the damage. "Clean slices," he said. "No chew marks. Nowhere. This was done with purpose." I pointed to the camera hidden in the birdhouse. Footage should have caught anyone approaching from the south. He nodded. "Good thinking. I'll take a copy." While Clint handled the evidence, I visited the county land office. I filed an official complaint citing repeated trespassing, vandalism, and harassment. With video, witness statements, and damage estimates from the irrigation contractor, my case wasn't just strong, it was airtight. Karen had stirred up the wrong storm. But revenge isn't just about justice. It's about timing. That evening, I stood by the fence watching her. She was on her porch, sipping wine, probably thinking she'd scared me into silence. Her poodles pranced in her yard. The smug look on her face lit something in me. Something cold and determined. I had a plan. Step 1. Visibility. I called in a favor from an old classmate, reporter Linda Carr, at the Tri-County Tribune. She came out 2 days later with a camera crew and a notebook full of questions. "I want the community to understand what's happening here," I told her. "This isn't just a land dispute. It's a slow-motion land grab through intimidation." The story aired that Friday night. Headline: HOA president accused of harassing local farmer. The footage was damning. Karen's illegal sign, the slash lines, the footage of her golf cart at the scene. They even aired audio from a phone call she made to the zoning board, where she said my farm should be turned into condos. That same weekend, 2 families from Whispering Pines approached me at the local diner. We didn't vote for her. One man said, "She bullies the board into silence. She thinks she's untouchable. Not anymore." Step 2. Protection. I leased the southern portion of my land, specifically the area bordering Whispering Pines, to the State Agricultural University. They used it to teach sustainable farming methods and livestock care. That made it an official educational agricultural zone, shielded by state regulations, protected from nuisance lawsuits, and most importantly, off-limits to HOA influence. When the university sign went up, Karen stormed down the fence line. "You're turning this into a, what, a school?" She spat. "Do you know how that'll affect property values?" I didn't flinch. "It's already affected mine. I'll have it removed. I have contacts on the zoning board." "Try it," I said, smiling. "You'll find it's classified under the state's Protected Agricultural Education Initiative." Her lips thinned. Her wine glass shook in her hand. That night, someone hurled a brick through my mailbox. It landed with a thud, shattering wood and splashing a small trail of gasoline. No flames, no fire, just a message. Clint took one look at it and ordered a patrol car stationed by my drive each night. "She's not just angry," he said. "She's desperate, but I wasn't finished yet." Step 3. Accountability. My lawyer filed a civil suit. Harassment, property damage, trespassing, attempted rezoning without consent. Karen would now have to defend her actions in court, publicly. The subpoena was delivered to her doorstep while she hosted an HOA board meeting right there in front of her guests. She tore it up on camera. Didn't matter. The court already had its copy. By the end of that week, Whispering Pines was buzzing with gossip. Residents started demanding a recall vote. Some even reached out to apologize for staying quiet so long. Karen's reign was cracking, but I still had one card left, because 2 years earlier, during a dry spell, Karen had diverted part of my runoff trench to fill her artificial koi pond without permission. I had photos. I had soil tests. And now I had a reason to use them. As the court date loomed, I watched her house from my porch one night. Lights on, blinds twitching, silhouettes pacing. She wasn't planning her defense. She was planning her escape, and I was ready to make sure karma caught up with her before she could run. The courthouse was packed the morning of Karen's hearing. Whispering Pines residents filled the benches, many avoiding her gaze. My lawyer stood tall beside me, files neatly stacked, photos and footage queued. Karen arrived last, draped in pearls, flanked by 2 HOA board members who looked like they'd rather be anywhere else. She gave me a smug smile. A twitch in the corner of her lip betrayed the storm beneath her designer blouse. The judge didn't waste time. "We're here today to address charges of civil harassment, trespassing, and property destruction. Mr. Brandt, please begin." We laid it all out. The signs illegally posted on my land, the bulk cut video footage from the trail cam, the irrigation damage, the koi pond runoff theft, complete with soil tests, showing nitrate traces from her fertilizer upstream of the diverted trench. Then Clint took the stand, reciting every complaint she'd made and every response his department had logged. The pattern was clear. Karen wasn't protecting a neighborhood. She was targeting a neighbor. When it was her turn, Karen stood, arms stiff, chin high. "I am the elected president of Whispering Pines HOA," she declared. "My sole concern has always been community welfare. Mr. Brandt's farm poses environmental, auditory, and aesthetic risks to our peaceful subdivision. I acted in accordance with my authority. You acted beyond your authority," the judge said sharply. "Your HOA's jurisdiction ends at your property line. And that line is not where you seem to believe it is." Karen flushed. "His farm devalues our homes. Property values are not grounds for harassment, Mrs. Whitmore." The gavel cracked once. "This court finds in favor of Mr. Brandt. You are hereby ordered to pay $38,000 in damages. Additionally, a restraining order is issued, effective immediately. You are not to approach or contact Mr. Brandt, nor may you enter or monitor his property for any reason." Her mouth hung open. "Court is adjourned." I exhaled. Quietly, calmly, it was over. Outside news crews waited, the same ones she used to court with open houses and charity brunches now crowded her with microphones. "Karen, do you regret harassing a local farmer? Was the HOA aware of your actions?" She shoved past them, poodles yapping in her wake. Back on the farm, things changed fast. A few neighbors from Whispering Pines brought baked goods and nervous smiles. "Just wanted to say, we're sorry," one woman said. "We didn't know half of what she was doing." Some of them asked if I'd be open to hosting another fair. A few even volunteered to help. Funny how fast fences fall when the right ones go up. Karen, meanwhile, didn't last long. Within a month, a board vote removed her as president. Her mailbox was quietly taken down. Her koi pond drained. Word had it she listed her house for sale. By summer, a moving truck swallowed her furniture whole, and she disappeared without a goodbye. But karma wasn't done. A year later, I received a call from Linda, the local reporter. "You're not gonna believe this," she laughed. "I guess who just tried to start an HOA in a lakeside retirement village 2 counties over." I didn't even ask. I just shook my head. She lasted 3 weeks before they shut her down. Apparently, they Googled her name and found our article. Karma had plowed her down and kept on rolling. As for me, I fenced in the southern pasture with state grant monies. The university expanded their lease. Every fall, students plant a pollinator field at the edge of the property, right where Karen once posted her sign. We named it Karen's Meadow. No one forgets why. That land grew stronger because of what it endured. So did I. It taught me that silence doesn't keep peace. It just postpones the fight. And some bullies don't understand boundaries until you draw them in permanent ink with legal filings. Now, when the sun rises over the fields and the roosters crow like clockwork, I smile, not out of revenge, out of relief, because I didn't just win a fight with an HOA president. I won my land back, and that's something no Karen can ever take away.